I need to be taller, huh? Alright, hold on, let's fix it before we get started. Let's see if that helps at all. That's better. Alright, what's up everyone? Good to see you guys. Hi, West Tennessee Dave here. It is a merge of stream concepts here. We have the podcast and we have the Bible story all this morning, so I hope you guys are well. Good to see you all. Welcome. I'm West Tennessee Dave. It's 6:34 now because we're a minute late, or a few seconds late. I wanted you guys to see the pond without me this morning, but we're here to continue on with the Bible stories, and so let's give a little background on that, and we have a nice background to go as we start this journey. I'll put on my glasses in a minute. So we're starting a kind of a new and an old storyline here in the Bible. So if you remember where we ended off, the children of Israel had been conquered by the Assyrian Empire and dispersed throughout the Assyrian Empire to basically no longer be. And the people of Judah stayed around for a little bit longer, but now the Babylonian Empire has conquered them and they've gone into exile. And so we finished those books of the kings. These are the problems because of what the kings did and how they ruled and reigned over the territory and the bad things that they did that upset God. Now we pick up the story basically at the end of the exile, where people are going to be returning to Jerusalem and some of the land of Israel. So they're coming back, but in doing so, they're going to come back and they're going to tell the stories. They're going to basically remind themselves of how they got exiled, because they're coming back and telling those stories to remind themselves not to forget them. So basically we're going to cover the same ground of the kingdoms, but the people that are telling these stories aren't the kings anymore. They are the Levitical priests, so the people that follow the religious customs. This is why they want to tell them. So that's where we're going. So we're going to start in 1 Chronicles, and we're starting all the way in chapter 9 because the first 8 chapters are all genealogy, and nobody really wants to just sit here and listen to me read a genealogy book of people's names because they're hard enough as it is. All right, with that said, let's get started. Good to see you all. Welcome, by the way. All right, it's over my head, but whatever. I can't read it from that far away. Can I? No. Well, let's see. Let's move this a little closer. All right. So all Israel was listed in the genealogical records in the books of the kings of Israel. The people of Judah were exiled to Babylon because they were unfaithful to the Lord. The first of the exiles returned to their property in the former towns were priests, Levites, temple servants, and other Israelites. Some of the people from the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh came and settled in Jerusalem. One family that returned was Uttiah, son of Ammihud, son of Omri, son of Imri, son of Benai, a descendant of Perez, son of Judah. Others returned from the Shilonite clan, including Isaiah, the oldest, and his sons. From the Zerathite clan, Jewel returned with his relatives. In all, 690 families from the tribe of Judah returned. From the tribe of Benjamin came Salul, son of Meshullam, son of Zodi, of Hanasa, Ibni son of Jeroam, Elias son of Uzziah. Why are we reading all this? I thought we started. Sorry. Guess we're moving to the next chapter. Yeah, we don't want to read this chapter. Okay. So, now the Philistines attacked Israel, and the men of Israel fled before them. Many were slaughtered on the slopes of Mount Gilboa. The Philistines closed in on Saul and his sons, and they killed 3 of his sons, Jonathan, Aminadab, and Malchishua. The fighting grew very fierce around Saul, and the Philistine archers caught up with him and wounded him. Saul groaned to his armor-bearer, "Take your sword and kill me before these pagan Philistines come to taunt and torture me." But his armor-bearer was afraid and would not do it. So Saul and his 3 sons died together, bringing his dynasty to an end. When all the Israelites in the Jezreel Valley saw their army had fled and that Saul and his sons were dead, they abandoned their towns and fled. So the Philistines moved in and occupied their towns. The next day, when the Philistines went out to strip the dead, they found the bodies of Saul and his sons on Mount Gilboa. So they stripped off Saul's armor and cut off his head. Then they proclaimed the good news of Saul's death before their idols and to the people throughout the land of Philistia. They placed his armor in the temple of their gods, and they fastened his head to the temple of Dagon. But when everyone in Jabesh Gilead heard about everything the Philistines had done to Saul, all their mighty warriors brought the bodies of Saul and his sons back to Jabesh. Then they buried their bones beneath the great tree at Jabesh, and they fasted for 7 days. So Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He failed to obey the Lord's commands, and he even consulted a medium instead of asking the Lord for guidance. So the Lord killed him and turned the kingdom over to David, son of Jesse. Excuse me. Then all Israel gathered before David at Hebron and told him, "We are your own flesh and blood. In the past, even when Saul was king, you were the one who really led the forces of Israel. And the Lord your God told you, 'You will be the shepherd of my people Israel. You will be the leader of my people Israel.' So there at Hebron, David made a covenant before the Lord with all the elders of Israel, and they anointed him king of Israel, just as the Lord had promised through Samuel. Then David and all of Israel went to Jerusalem, or Jebus, as it used to be called, where the Jebusites, the original inhabitants of the land, were living. The people of Jebus taunted David, saying, 'You'll never get in here.' But David captured the fortress of Zion, which is now called the City of David. David had said to his troops, 'Whoever is first to attack the Jebusites will become the commander of my armies.' And Joab, the son of David's sister Zeruiah, was first to attack, so he became the commander of David's armies. David made the fortress his home, and that is why it is called the City of David. He extended the city from the supporting terraces to the surrounding area, while Joab rebuilt the rest of Jerusalem. And David became more and more powerful because the Lord of heaven's army was with him. These are the leaders of David's mighty warriors, together with all of Israel. They decided to make David their king, just as the Lord had promised concerning Israel. Here is the record of David's mightiest warriors. The first was Jeshobeam, the Hechamonite, who was the leader of the 3, the mightiest warriors among David's men. He used one of his spear to kill 300 enemy warriors in a single battle. Next in rank among the 3 was Eleazar, son of Dodai, a descendant of Ahoah. He was with David when the Philistines gathered for battle at Pasdamin and attacked the Israelites in a field full of barley. The Israelite army fled, but Eleazar and David held their ground in the middle of the field and beat back the Philistines. So the Lord saved them by giving them a great victory. Once when David was at the rock near the cave of Adullam, the Philistine army was camped in the valley of Rephidim. The 3 who were among the 30, an elite group among David's fighting men, went down to meet him there. David was staying in the stronghold at the time, and a Philistine detachment had occupied the town of Bethlehem. David remarked longingly to his men, "Oh, how I would love some of that good water from the well by the gate in Bethlehem." So the 3 broke through the Philistine lines, drew some water from the well by the gate in Bethlehem, and brought it back to David. But David refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out as an offering to the Lord. "God forbid that I should drink this," he exclaimed. This water is as precious as the blood of these men who risked their lives to bring it to me." So David did not drink it. These are the examples of the exploits of the three. Abishai, the brother of Joab, was the leader of the 30. He once used his spear to kill 300 enemy warriors in a single battle. It was by such feats that he became as famous as the three. Abishai was the most famous of the 30 and was their commander, though he was not one of the three. There was also Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, a valiant warrior from Kabzeel. He did many heroic deeds, which included killing 2 champions of Moab. Another time on a snowy day, he chased a lion down into a pit and killed it. Once, armed only with a club, he killed an Egyptian warrior who was 7.5 feet tall and who was armed with a spear as thick as a weaver's beam. Benaiah wrenched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with it. Deeds like these made Benaiah as famous as the 3 mighty warriors. He was more honored than the other members of the 30, though he was not one of the 3, and David made him captain of his bodyguard. David's mighty warriors also included Asahel, Joab's brother, Elhanan, son of Dodo from Bethlehem, Helez from Pelon, Ira, son of Ikesh from Tekoa, Abiezer from Anathoth, Sibbecai from Hushah, Zalman from Ahoah, Mahariah from Nephtophah, Heled, son of Benah from Netophah, Ittai, son of Ribai from Gibeah in the land of Benjamin, Benaiah from Pirathon, Hurai from Nera Naligash, Abi Alban from Arabah, Asmaveth from Buhurim, Elihab from Salbon, the sons of Jashan from Gizon, Jonathan son of Shagi from Harar, Ahiah son of Sharar from Harar, Eliphal son of Ur, Hefer from Machirah, Ahijah from Pelon, Hezro from Carmel, Pari son of Esbel, Joel the brother of Nathan, Mibhar son of Hagri, Zelek from Ammon, Nahare from Beeroth, the armor-bearer of Joab son of Zeruiah, Ira from Jatir, Girab from Jatir, Uriah the Hittite, Zabad son of Alai, Adina son of Shiza, the Reubenite leader who had 30 men with him, Hanan son of Makkah, Joshaphat from Mitana, Uzziah from Ashtaroth, Shammah and Jeiel, the sons of Hothma from Arior, Jedaliel, son of Shimri, Joah, his brother from Tiz, Eliel from Mahava, Jeribai, and Jashavai, the sons of Elnamah, Ithamah from Moab, Eliel, and Obed, Jaziel from Zobah. Okay, gosh, that was a long list. What's up, Brooke? Good to see you. Hi. The following men joined David at Ziklag while he was hiding from Saul, son of Kish. They were among the warriors who fought beside David in battle. All of them were expert archers, and they could shoot an arrow or sling stones with their left hand as well as their right. They were all relatives of Saul from the tribe of Benjamin. Their leaders were Ahiziar, son of Shammah from Gibeah. His brother Joash was second in command. These were the other warriors: Jaziel and Pelet, sons of Asmaveth, Becherah, Jehuah from Anath, Ezamiah from Gibeon, a famous warrior leading among the 30, Jeremiah, Jaziel, Johanan, Jozabad from Gederah, Eluzai, Jeremoth, Belial, Shemiriah, Shephatiah from Haruph, Elkanah, Ishiah, Azriel, Joazar, Jashobim, who were Korathites, Joelah, and Zebediah, sons of Jerome from Gedor. Some brave and experienced warriors from the tribe of Gad also defected to David while he was at the stronghold in the wilderness. They were expert with both shield and spear, and fierce as lions and as swift as deer on the mountains. Azir was their leader, Obadiah was second, Eliab was third, Mishmanah was fourth, Jeremiah was fifth, Attai was sixth, Eliel was seventh, Johanan was eighth, Elzabad was ninth, Jeremiah was 10th, Macbaniah was 11th. These warriors from Gad were army commanders. The weakest among them could take on 100 regular troops, and the strongest could take on 1,000. These were the men who crossed the Jordan River during its seasonal flooding at the beginning of the year and drove out all the people living in the lowlands on both the east and west banks. Others from Benjamin and Judah came to David at the stronghold. David went out to meet them and said, "If you have come in peace to help me, we are friends. But if you have come to betray me to my enemies when I am innocent, then may the God of our ancestors see it and punish you." Then the Spirit came upon Amasai, the leader of the 30, and he said, "We are yours, David. We are on your side, son of Jesse. Peace and prosperity be with you, and success to all who help you, for your God is the one who helps you." So David let them join him, and he made them officers over his troops. Some men from Manasseh defected from the Israelite army and joined David when he set out with the Philistines to fight against Saul. But as it turned out, the Philistine rulers refused to let David and his men go with them. After much discussion, they sent them back, for they said, "It will cost us our heads if David switches loyalties to Saul and turns against us." Here's a list of the men from Manasseh who defected to David as he was returning to Ziklag: Adnah, Jozabad, Jediael, Michael, Jozabad, Elihu, Zilithai. Each commanded 1,000 troops from the tribe of Manasseh. They helped David chase down the band of raiders, for they were all brave and able warriors who became commanders in his army. Day after day, more men joined David until he had a great army, like the army of God. These are the number of armed warriors who joined David at Hebron. They were all eager to see David become king instead of Saul, just as the Lord had promised. From the tribe of Judah, there were 6,800 warriors armed with shields and spears. From the tribe of Simeon, there were 7,100 brave warriors. From the tribe of Levi, there were 4,600 warriors. This included Jehoiada, the leader of the family of Aaron, who had 3,700 under his command. This also included Zadok, a brave young warrior, with 22 members of his family who were all officers. From the tribe of Benjamin, Saul's relatives, there were 3,000 warriors. Most of the men from Benjamin remained loyal to Saul until this time. From the tribe of Ephraim, there were 20,800 brave warriors, each highly respected in his own clan. From the half-tribe of Manasseh, west of the Jordan, 18,000 men were designated by name to help David become king. From the tribe of Issachar, there were 200 leaders of the tribe with their relatives. All these men understood the signs of the times and knew the best course for Israel to take. From the tribe of Zebulun, there were 50,000 skilled warriors. They were fully armed and prepared for battle and completely loyal to David. From the tribe of Naphtali, there were 1,000 officers and 37,000 warriors armed with shields and spears. From the tribe of Dan, there were 28,600 warriors, all prepared for battle. And from the tribe of Asher, there were 40,000 trained warriors, all prepared for battle. From the east side of the Jordan River, where the tribes of Reuben and Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh lived, there were 120,000 troops armed with every kind of weapon. All these men came in battle array to Hebron with the single purpose of making David the king over all of Israel. In fact, everyone in Israel agreed that David should be their king. They feasted and drank with David for 3 days, for preparations had been made by their relatives for their arrival. And people from as far away as Issachar, Zebulun, and Naphtali brought food on donkeys, camels, mules, and oxen, vast supplies of flour, fig cakes, clusters of raisins, wine, olive oil, cattle, sheep, and goats were brought to the celebration. There was great joy throughout the land of Israel. David consulted with all of his officials, including the generals and captains of his army. Then he addressed the entire assembly of Israel as follows: "If you approve, and if it is the will of our Lord our God, let us send messengers to all the Israelites throughout the land, including the priests, the Levites in the towns, and the pasture lands. Let us invite them to come and join us. It is time to bring back the ark of our God, for we neglected it during the reign of Saul." The whole assembly agreed to this, for the people could see it was the right thing to do. So David summoned all of Israel from Sherior brook of Egypt in the south all the way down to Lebo Hamath in the north, to join in bringing the ark of God from Kiriath Jearim. Then David and all of Israel went to Baalah of Judah, also called Kiriath Jearim, to bring back the ark of God, which bears the name of the Lord, who is enthroned between the cherubim. They placed the ark of God on a new cart and brought it from Aminadab's house. Uzzah and Ahio were guiding the cart. David and all of Israel were celebrating before God with all their might, singing songs and playing all kinds of musical instruments, lyres, harps, tambourines, cymbals, and trumpets. But when they arrived at the threshing floor of Nacon, the oxen stumbled, and Uzzah reached out his hand to steady the ark. Then the Lord's anger was aroused against Uzzah, and he struck him dead because he had laid his hand on the ark. So Uzzah died there in the presence of God. David was angry because the Lord's anger had burst out against Uzzah. He named the place Perez Uzzah, which means to burst out against Uzzah, as it is still called today. David was now afraid of God, and he asked, "How can I ever bring the ark of God back into my care?" So David did not move the ark into the city of David. Instead, he took it to the house of Obed-Edom of Gath. The ark of God remained there in Obed-Edom's house for 3 months, and the Lord blessed the household of Obed-Edom and everything he owned. Then King Hiram of Tyre sent messengers to David, along with cedar, timber, and stonemasons and carpenters, to build him a palace. And David realized that the Lord had confirmed him as king over Israel and had greatly blessed his kingdom for the sake of his people Israel. Then David married more wives in Jerusalem, and they had more sons and daughters. These are the names of David's sons who were born in Jerusalem: Shammua, Shobab, Nathan, Solomon, Ibhar, Elishua, Elpalet, Noga, Nepheg, Japhia, Elishama, Eliada, and Eliphalet. When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over all Israel, they mobilized all their forces to capture him. But David was told they were coming, so he marched out to meet them. The Philistines arrived and made a raid in the valley of Rephaim. So David asked God, "Should I go out to fight the Philistines? Will you hand them over to me?" The Lord replied, "Yes, go ahead. I will hand them over to you." So David and his troops went up to Baal Perazim and defeated the Philistines there. "God did it," David exclaimed. "He used me to burst through my enemies like a raging flood." So they named the place Baal Perazim, which means the Lord who burst through. The Philistines had abandoned their gods there, so David gave orders to burn them. But after a while, the Philistines returned and raided the valley again. And once again, David asked God what to do. "Do not attack them straight on," God replied. "Instead, circle around behind and attack them near the poplar trees. When you hear a sound like marching feet in the tops of the poplar trees, go out and attack. That will be the signal that God is moving ahead of you to strike down the Philistine army." So David did what God commanded, and they struck down the Philistine army all the way from Gibeon to Gezer. So David's fame spread everywhere, and the Lord caused all the nations to fear David. Okay, let's stop there for today. We read 5 chapters, and that's generally kind of about where we go. Good. It was fun to do this out here today. I hope you guys are enjoying the natural sounds of the birds chirping, crickets. There was still a lot of genealogy today, and again, there's a reason for that. It's important to know your history, right? So these people have been exiled in the land of Babylon, and we haven't really read that part of the story yet. We'll get some of that in future stories, but the people were exiled away, and they're returning home, and they're retelling the stories from the past. So a lot of these stories that we hear are going to be a repeat of what we just heard in the books of Samuel and Kings. But the genealogy is important because it reminds them that they are part of this storyline. And so they keep telling about the different people that have gone before. And I found something pretty interesting today when I was reading it. Just in most kingdoms throughout time, in order for a new king to assume the throne that is not like a family member of the original king or the past king, there generally has to be a military kind of overthrow, if you will. And I think this has been happening not just in Israel, but throughout time with kingdoms. Militarily might, you have to get the military on your side. And one of the things you see when David is basically being anointed king is that the first people that anoint him king are all the mighty warriors throughout the land of Israel. And they say, you're going to be their king, so you're it. Let's go anoint you. And off they roll. And at this point, Benjamin's kind of in a bad space because their tribe was the first one to have a king with King Saul. King Saul wasn't the best king by any means. And the people knew David was a mighty warrior, and Saul had been chasing him for all of his life to try to kill him because I think he just knew that this was the guy. This is the people that they sang about. He killed Goliath. He did all these things while he wasn't king, but he was basically preparing to be king. And sometimes you can kind of see the writing on the wall of who's preparing to be king. And, you know, even in our country in America, we have elections, and sometimes you can see, oh, these are the people that are going to rise up from the Republican Party, or these are the people that are going to rise up from the Democratic Party. Like, you kind of get this sense of who's maybe going to be the next president here, because we don't have a family line that kind of takes over presidencies. Now, we do have different family lines that have continued presidencies, but people here get to vote. But you kind of just see who's rising up in the ranks. And in most cultures where you can't vote, like our culture does, oftentimes if it's going to be outside a family line, it's going to be a military conquest. And David gets all the people. And then they're giving this kind of historical genealogy of all these people that are the mighty warriors. They're the first ones, and they're like, now let's get the rest of the people. And generally, if you get an army of about 500,000 people together, the people that aren't necessarily skilled in army and training in battle and wanting to kill, they're more likely to... the people are going to more likely fall in line, and they're like, let's let David be king, right? So, why am I saying all this? Just the concept of having influence and strong people around you, and to go about being part of something and then to lead something is like a huge part of like the continuation of storylines. And so, you know, whether that's your church family or your poker group family or whatever it is, or whether it's your own just personal family, you're part of a group. And in that group, you should train to do well in whatever it is you're doing. You should train yourself well if you want to play poker. You should study, you should become better. You practice, you play, those things all make you better at the game, right? You don't just become a warrior overnight. You have to practice. You have to go out there with somebody. You have to learn to go to the archery range and shoot things. And maybe you're a hunter and you learn to shoot. You know, and at church, you go to church, or church families, you go to church to practice, like to learn about becoming a soldier in God's army. So everything in life is kind of this same principle of spinning it up and doing processes over and over again to become what your group is a part of. And David found himself, basically in the throes of both the kingdoms. He served Saul, and always in military distress, because Saul basically, whether he liked it or not, trained him not only to be king and see the kingdom, but also he trained him to be a warrior because he attacked him all the time. And sometimes we don't see the attacks on our lives as opportunities to become. We just see them as nuisances. But I think this story is showing us that, and we see this in David's life, especially when we read it back in the other storyline in Samuel, that these difficult places in our lives teach us to become something greater. We don't really become greater when everything is going well. When you're on the top, it's kind of hard to get better. But it's in the difficult places that we become better, and we rise up to be heroic, to be warriors, to become better in whatever it is in life. So let's take that example from David here as they're coming back, right? They're saying the same story. Look, we got taken out, we got exiled. But let's remember the good parts of the story where David showed us by example how to follow God, because he followed God wholeheartedly. He got this promise. And we want to be people of that promise as we come back to our land and try to live in it again. And we want to be the people of God and not exiled again. And so that's why they're telling these stories. They're telling these stories to remind themselves of the good times. They're going to remind them of what it looks like on the slippery slope down eventually. Because when everything is easy and going well, it's really easy to forget to ask God for wisdom. It's really easy just to brush it off, because sometimes you need adversity to realize your need for God. But we need God all the time. So if we don't practice in the good, we're going to be practicing in the very hard stuff. We should practice in all the times. So that's the goal here, to practice in all the times and to remember the stories. Hello there, Adri Wow. Hi, welcome. Hope you are good today. So here we are today. We had a good little Bible story reading. We started the books of Chronicles. We read some of the return from exile, and we're going to cover territory that we've already seen, but it's good to reread these stories from a different viewpoint, because we all have different viewpoints. If I have an experience and you're there, our experiences of just even that event can be different, and that's why we do it. Anyways, so that's what we're out here to do. How am I? I am well. Thank you for asking. How are you? Adrian, wow. Good to see you. This is a pond. This is a pond that I built. So this is a swimming pond, and I just thought it'd be a nice little background to sit in front of and read some of the Bible story this morning. I've been wanting to do this. I have to get up even earlier to make it happen, and I was going to do it on Friday, but that didn't work out because it started raining and lightning. So I'm not wearing a swimsuit this morning. No, I'm not going in right now. I do sometimes go in. I sometimes wear a swimsuit, but I'm not wearing one right now to go in. Just because because I got to get inside and feed my children. My wife's out of town. Yeah, it's sad, huh? Sad to not go in. Yeah, it is sad to not go in the water. I love the water, and it is super hot here in Tennessee. We've had like extreme heat warnings, so I'm not going to want to go in this afternoon. This would be the perfect time to go in the water, but it won't be until it won't be today. Hopefully, I'll go in Monday morning. But anyways, thanks for being here, guys. I will. I'm gonna raid you out of here. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you for all the new follows. You would like to see me in the water and underwater head? Yeah, I mean, I can dive off of the dock there in a minute. I can do that. Um, Maybe I'll go get my suit on and jump in before I end the stream. But I want to just thank you all for being here. Thanks for listening today. We'll be back. I've got streams scheduled for later tonight to play poker. Study stream on Monday night at 7:30 Central PM with Felice Suerte as my co-host. And I'll be back for the next Bible story. Take off shirt, please. Oh gosh, this is supposed to be like my Bible story stream, so it's a little awkward to do that right now. But I'll let it just sit here for a few minutes. And thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. I will be back to the next Bible story time on Tuesday morning. All right, so I'll let you hang out here for a few minutes, and then I'll raid you out of here. Thanks for being here. You're welcome, Eric.